Welcome to Science with Sue. Each time you tune in, I will tell you about findings from the revolutionary new science of relationships and how this science can help you and your partner move into a place that I call safe and sound, the loving connection with a partner that we all long for. Everybody needs to know that we can now take charge of and deliberately shape our love relationships. Everybody needs to know the way home. Each week, I will introduce a topic, tell you how it shows up in a relationship, share a little research, clarify how this all makes sense, and give you a take-home piece of wisdom to use in your relationship. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you'll know when my new videos come out. So now, let's find our way. Let's find out how to get to safe and sound. Today, we talk about setting up great sex. And I'm going to suggest that the very best aphrodisiac, the best way to set up great sex, is to take care of and fire up your emotional connection. Usually, when it comes to giving folks advice about sex, the focus is all on physical responses and performance tips. But in relationships, sex is a highly emotional issue. People are naked, after all, vulnerable and easily seen. And sex is not just about physical pleasure and orgasm, it's also about bonding, about emotional connection. At orgasm, our brain releases a bonding hormone called oxytocin, sometimes called the molecule of monogamy. We know that securely attached partners who can share emotionally and risk sharing soft, vulnerable feelings enjoy sex more. They can relax, they can let themselves go into the flow of eroticism, and they can take more risks with each other. In fact, we know that attuned emotional responsiveness is the key feature of secure bonding interactions. And it may be the very best recipe for great sex too. Perhaps much better than learning difficult positions from a sex book, like wailing monkey climbing tree from The Joy of Sex, in order to increase the novelty factor in the relationship. Research says open responsiveness shapes love inside and outside the bedroom. Here's what it sounds like when it works. Harry says, "It's easier to talk about sex now that we are more sure of each other, of our bond, but it still really gets to me when I invite you and you don't want to make love." Joan replies, "Right, I get that. It would upset me too, and you usually take the risk to initiate sex. And I have been really preoccupied and tired lately. And desire is always a slower thing for me. Sometimes I lose my oomph before that tipping point into urgency. But I don't want you to feel hurt, or that I don't desire you in general, because that isn't true." Harry says, "Right, you just have no problem turning me down." "Well, I guess sometimes you're just not in the same space as me. And I hear that you're stressed out and tired. But if you want, we can hug and just be close. That would feel good for me. I like your head on my shoulder." Joan snuggles in and says, "You smell good. Well, maybe right now I don't feel so tired." And they burst out laughing and begin to play wrestle. The research says many studies on adult attachment tell us that those of us who have difficulty with emotional engagement, who avoid being vulnerable and confiding in others, also enjoy sex less and find it less fulfilling. Perhaps because these folks focus just on sensation rather than on the emotional music of the sexual dance. Partners who risk opening up, who are emotionally responsive to each other, report the most pleasure and passion. In a recent study from our lab, we found that couples who learned to be emotionally open and responsive with each other improved not just their feelings of secure emotional connection, but also at the same time, there's satisfaction with their sex life. The best way to improve erotic connection is to improve emotional connection. This makes sense. Great sex enhances bonding, and responsive emotional connection enhances sex. Sex without emotional connection is like dancing without music. The take-home here is that the way to improve sex is often through the heart, through more open emotional connection and responsiveness.